The great red planet hung in the blackness of space, a distant sentinel watching over the solar system. Beyond it, past the swirling storms of Jupiter, a shadow moved, vast, cold, and inexorable. The Arcsani fleet, an armada unlike anything Earth had ever seen, loomed silently in the giant planet's orbit. Their dark ships blotted out the stars, a creeping eclipse in the void. In Earth's command centers, across every continent and every time zone, screens flickered with the incoming sensor data. The enormous fleet was detected hours ago, but now it was close enough to fill the monitors with unmistakable shapes. Dreadnoughts bristling with weapons, carriers packed with fighters, and smaller vessels darting between their hulks like shadows. The fleet wasn't just large, it was terrifyingly efficient, a living machine designed to conquer. In New Geneva, the Terran Defense Accord's Central Command buzzed with quiet urgency. Military officers, scientists, and diplomats stood clustered, in rooms thick with holographic maps and data streams, their faces lit by the cold glow of monitors. Outside, the world waited tense and fearful. The announcements had come swiftly. Unidentified fleet at Jupiter's orbit. Hostile intentions declared. Demand for unconditional surrender. The voice of the Arcsani Imperium broadcast. In deep resonance, a tone meant to cow and command. Yet Earth's leaders did not tremble. Behind closed doors, away from the media and the public's anxious eyes, a different narrative was unfolding. For years, decades even, humanity had prepared, not just militarily but psychologically. What the galaxy knew of Earth was a planet still struggling with internal divisions, still a fledgling player on the interstellar stage. But that image was a carefully maintained illusion. The Arcsani had assumed Earth was a primitive prize, one to be crushed quickly and easily. Their arrogance was their first mistake. Captain Amina Reyes stood on the bridge of the Vanguard Sentinel, Earth's flagship, staring out at the distant mass of enemy ships. Her dark eyes reflected the grim determination that burned within the Terran fleet. Around her, the crew moved with precise, calm efficiency, their training evident in every gesture. "Status report," she commanded. Lieutenant Chen, her tactical officer, answered without hesitation. "Arcsani fleet stable in orbit. No movement detected beyond minor repositioning. Our stealth arrays remain undetected. Energy levels optimal." "Good," Amina replied, her voice steady. "Activate electromagnetic interference grids on my mark." The Vanguard Sentinel was not alone. Around Earth and its orbital stations, hidden, platforms stirred to life. Decades of covert development had created a web of defense that the Arcsani had never suspected. Networks of automated drones, quantum sensors, and railguns masked as space debris. Each one deadly and precise. "Mark," she ordered. Across the solar system, invisible waves rippled outward from Earth's hidden weapons arrays. The electromagnetic pulses struck the enemy fleet like a ghostly hammer, knocking out sensors and communications on multiple Arcsani vessels. Alarms flared silently in their command centers, but the Arcsani had no idea where the disruption had come from. Back on Earth, the world's media was already broadcasting the invasion. News anchors tried to maintain calm, but the underlying fear was palpable. Cities gathered in public squares, watching giant screens with the same mix of horror and hope. Yet within the confines of military strategy rooms, a quiet confidence was growing. Dr. Elena Kovac, head of Earth's AI defense program, monitored the neural networks linking Earth's fleets and satellites. Her fingers danced over the console as AI-driven warships stealthily repositioned themselves in orbit. "They think they can intimidate us," she murmured. "They have no idea what's waiting for them." The Arcsani Admiral, Lord Varnak, paced, the bridge of his flagship Imperator Rex. His armor gleamed under the harsh lights, a symbol of the Imperium's power. His expression, however, was one of growing frustration. "Why are our sensors failing?" he growled. "We should have detected the source of their interference by now." His second-in-command, a pale and sharp-eyed officer named Talar, bowed slightly. "The Terran systems are operating at a frequency beyond our current capabilities. My lord, their technology is Unlike anything we anticipated, Farnak slammed a fist onto the command console. Underestimating humanity was a mistake we cannot afford. Prepare the fleet for a full scan. Sweep every inch of this system. They will reveal themselves. Outside, the silent shadow of the Arcsani armada remained motionless for now. But beneath, the calm, a storm was building. Far from the command decks and the looming dreadnoughts, a small, seemingly insignificant satellite drifted lazily near the asteroid belt. Its true purpose was hidden beneath layers of encryption and stealth technology, a node in Earth's covert defense grid. Inside its hull, automated weapon systems calibrated to the microsecond. A sudden ping signaled incoming enemy scouts probing for weakness. Within seconds, the satellite's railguns flared, sending a salvo of hypervelocity projectiles streaking into the darkness. Explosions blossomed silently in the void as enemy scout ships were shredded, their fragments drifting like cosmic dust. Back on Earth, the cheers were muffled. The battle had begun, not with fanfare or fireworks, but with cold, efficient precision. Captain Amina Reyes stood firm, her voice resolute in the quiet hum of the bridge. This is only the beginning. The Imperial invasion was no match for Earth's prepared defenses. They will learn that swiftly. The war for Earth had begun. The calm on Earth's surface was deceptive. Cities bustled as usual. Children played in parks. Markets thrived. And skies carried the hum of civilian shuttles between orbital stations. To the outside observer, life carried on with no indication of the looming threat beyond Jupiter's orbit. But beneath this normalcy, humanity's hidden arsenal was awakening. In the subterranean halls beneath the Himalayas, the command center known as Citadel Zero hummed with activity. Engineers, strategists, and cybernetic specialists worked in shifts around holographic star maps and cascading lines of code. Here, far from prying eyes and satellites, Earth's most advanced weapon systems were monitored and controlled. Dr. Elena Kovac stood over a console, her sharp gaze tracking digital readouts representing Earth's warships, drones, and satellites. She was the architect behind the Sentinel Array, a vast network of automated defense platforms distributed across the solar system, an invisible web of guardians ready to strike. Our stealth drones are in position, she said softly to her assistant. If the Arcsani move beyond Jupiter, they'll trigger the first wave. No chance of escape. Across the asteroid belt, a lone figure moved silently inside the hull of the Artemis, a sleek warship disguised as a drifting rock. Captain Samir Patel guided his crew through the dimly lit corridors with military precision. His crew were young, but their skills had been honed to razor sharpness, each member a specialist in zero-gravity combat and advanced tactics. Samir's fingers tapped the control panel. Deploy the micro-missiles. I want full coverage on the outer perimeter. Moments later, invisible to enemy sensors, the Artemis released its payload. Hundreds of tiny missiles, no bigger than a human fist, scattered like deadly fireflies among the rocks. Each missile was equipped with nanobot warheads capable of puncturing even the toughest armor. Far off in the void, an Arcsani scout ship flashed briefly before exploding in a silent, violent bloom of metal and plasma. Back on Earth, in the sprawling underground bunkers of New Tokyo, Lieutenant Mei Chen sat before a glowing map, coordinating electronic warfare units across the solar system. She adjusted the frequency of a jamming array to interfere with Arcsani communications. They're trying to establish a relay, Mei reported to her superior. Signals weak, scrambled beyond recognition. Her commander, General Marcus, Duval nodded grimly. Good, keep it that way. We can't let them coordinate their fleet. If they lose control, it'll be chaos for them. Mei's fingers danced across the interface, unleashing waves of data packets and cyber attacks designed to infiltrate enemy networks. Every second counted. Meanwhile, in the skies over Earth's moon, the orbital defense ring awoke with a mechanical roar. Gigantic railguns, each powered by quantum capacitors, hummed as they spun into position. Invisible to human eyes, electromagnetic fields shimmered, cloaking the massive guns from enemy sensors. Commander Lian Zhao, overseeing the moon's defenses, monitored the incoming threat with cool focus. "All stations, confirm readiness," she ordered. A chorus of affirmations came through the comms. "Once the Arcsani enter Earth's inner solar system, unleash the full barrage. We will not give them a foothold." Unbeknownst to the Arcsani, Earth's defense was not just about weapons and firepower, it was about adaptability and deception. In an orbit near Mars, a disguised Terran stealth cruiser, the Phantom, slipped behind enemy lines. Its hull, coated with metamaterials, absorbed radar and energy scans, making it virtually invisible. Onboard intelligence officers hacked into Arcsani tactical channels, feeding false orders to enemy commanders. The Imperium's fleet was chasing ghosts. Lord Varnak, growing desperate, slammed his fist on the command console. "We must flush out these Terrans. They hide behind tricks and shadows. Bring me solutions, not excuses." Tyler, his advisor, bowed but met Varnak's fury with calm resolve. "My lord, our vessels are crippled by their interference. Our sensors fail against their stealth technology. Their cyber attacks cripple our communications. They fight like predators, relentless, adaptive." Varnak's eyes burned with rage. "Then we will bring fire, target their orbital defenses, burn them out." But unknown to him, Earth's orbital guns were already tracking his ships, their quantum sensors piercing the darkness. The first railgun shot screamed through space, striking an enemy frigate's engine core with pinpoint accuracy. The ship erupted in a silent explosion, debris scattering like deadly confetti. On Earth, civilians were kept in the dark about the full scale of the battle beyond their skies. Governments released cautious updates emphasizing calm and order, but everywhere people felt a stirring sense of pride and determination. In a small classroom in London, young student Ava Patel watched the news with wide eyes. Her grandfather had been a pilot in the Terran Defense Fleet during the last skirmishes decades ago, and now she dreamed of joining them herself. Her teacher's words echoed in her mind. "We fight not because we seek glory, but because we protect what makes us human." Back on the Vanguard Sentinel, Captain Reyes felt the weight of the moment. Every move Earth made was a gamble, but the stakes had never been higher. "We have the advantage," Reyes said quietly to her first officer. "The Arcsani expect a quick victory. Instead, they're stepping into a trap. This is our moment." Lieutenant Chen's fingers flew over the tactical console. "Our interference is holding. Enemy movements are sluggish. They don't know we've already begun the counterstrike." Outside, the stars glimmered cold and distant. Between Earth and Jupiter, the stage was set. The Imperial invasion had awakened a sleeping giant, and Earth's hidden arsenal was ready to strike. The asteroid belt, once a quiet field of drifting rock and ice, had become a war zone overnight. It was the front line now, the place where Earth's hidden arsenal would make its first brutal stand against the Arcsani invaders. Captain Samir Patel stood on the bridge of the Artemis, the stealth warship disguised as an asteroid. His crew was tense but focused. The deadly silence of space was punctuated only by the distant, ghostly radio chatter and the hum of the ship's systems. "We're in position," Samir said, voice steady. "Prepare to deploy micromissiles on my command." Outside, the real battlefield waited, a treacherous maze of rocky outcrops and shattered planetoids that masked Earth's trap. Far above, the Arcsani scout fleet had begun their sweep. Agile ships darted between the boulders, their sensors probing for threats. But Earth's drones were waiting. The first volley of micromissiles streaked out like deadly fireflies, almost invisible against the starry backdrop. Each one was a precision instrument, armed with nanobot warheads designed to rip through Arcsani hulls with brutal efficiency. One scout, caught off guard, exploded in a silent bloom of debris and plasma. The explosion was barely visible to the naked eye, but it sent a shockwave through the fleet's sensor network. On the bridge of the Imperator Rex, Lord Varnak's irritation flared. "Reports coming in," Taylor announced. "We are losing ships faster than expected. These micro-missiles are unlike anything we've encountered." Varnak's glare was cold. "Increase countermeasures. Deploy fighter wings to clear those drones." But the fighters never arrived. Below the surface of space, Earth's hidden robotic fleet began their deadly dance. Thousands of mining drones, modified with weapons and AI-driven targeting systems, surged from hidden hangars and asteroid caves. Their task was not just to destroy the Arcsani, it was to disorient and delay them. The drones moved with terrifying speed and coordination. Swarms of tiny machines converged on enemy ships, tearing at shields and hulls with plasma cutters and railguns. Arcsani warships fired blindly into the darkness, but the drones were too small, too numerous. Frustration turned to panic as several cruisers lost power and drifted helplessly in space. Meanwhile, aboard the Artemis, Captain Patel watched the tactical display. Enemy fleet is breaking formation. They're retreating from the belt. His first officer, Lieutenant Rena Vasquez, smiled grimly. Our trap worked. The micro-missiles and drones turned the asteroid belt into a kill zone. But this is just the beginning, Samir warned. They'll regroup and try a different approach. We need to stay sharp. Back on Earth, news anchors carefully relayed the first battle updates. Official statements praised the Terran defense fleet's swift response but stressed that the war was far from over. Public morale wavered between fear and pride. In the crowded streets of New Chicago, families gathered around screens, watching the reports with rapt attention. For many, it was the first real proof that Earth was not defenseless. But the Arcsani had not come unprepared. The Imperium's cyber warfare units launched counterattacks against Earth's neural networks. Digital battles erupted silently in the depths of cyberspace, AIs locked in deadly combat with unseen enemies. On Earth, Dr. Elena Kovac monitored the cyber front, her brow furrowed as enemy algorithms adapted rapidly. They're learning from us, she said to her team. Every breach we block, they change tactics. We need to stay one step ahead. In response, Earth deployed a new weapon, a cyber swarm AI named Phoenix. Designed to evolve and counterattack, Phoenix penetrated Arcsani command networks, disrupting their fleet coordination. Enemy fleets are receiving conflicting orders, reported Lieutenant Mei Chen from New Tokyo. Their command structure is fracturing. Back in the void, confusion spread among the Arcsani ranks. Fighters fired on their own capital ships, sensor glitches caused deadly collisions, and morale plummeted. Lord Varnak's frustration turned to fury. Send boarding parties, capture their command centers, crush their resistance at its source. But Earth's fleets were ready. In orbit above Mars, stealth fighters emerged from hidden hangars. Pilots moved like shadows, striking quickly and disappearing before the enemy could respond. Captain Amina Reyes stood on the Vanguard Sentinel's bridge, watching the unfolding battle with grim satisfaction. They're faltering, she said quietly. The Imperium thought this would be a simple conquest. Instead, they're fighting a war they cannot win. Her crew prepared for the next phase, a decisive counteroffensive that would push the invaders out of the solar system entirely, as May. The firefight in the asteroid belt raged. A new threat emerged. Biological experiments unleashed by the Imperium, strange hybrid creatures bred for space combat. Boarding parties carried these monstrosities onto Terran ships, turning battles into brutal close-quarters fights. Lieutenant Rena Vasquez found herself face-to-face with one such creature in the dim corridors of the Artemis. Her pulse raced as she raised her plasma rifle and fired. The creature shrieked and collapsed, but she knew more were coming. Despite the horrors, Earth's defenders held firm. The battle in the asteroid belt was more than just a fight for control. It was a proving ground. Humanity's resilience, ingenuity, and unity shone through the darkness. When the Arcsani finally withdrew, battered and broken, the message was clear. Earth was no easy target. The Imperator Rex drifted in low orbit around the moon, its colossal shadow swallowing the pale surface beneath. Once the proud flagship of the Arcsani Imperium, it now felt like a trapped beast, caught in a web it could neither see nor escape. Lord Varnak stood rigid on the bridge, the weight of failure pressing down on him. His once commanding presence was marred by a flicker of doubt, a dangerous crack in the armor of a warrior who had never tasted defeat. "Report," he barked. "Multiple hull breaches in the starboard engine array." Talar replied grimly. Damage control teams are overwhelmed. Energy reserves are depleting rapidly. Varnak slammed his fist onto the console. How did this happen? I gave the order for a full assault on the lunar defense ring. That ring was supposed to fall within hours. But Earth's lunar defenses had been waiting. Commander Lian Zhao stood in the command center beneath the moon's surface, watching the Imperator Rex's approach on the holomap. The massive warship was like a mountain on the horizon, formidable, yet vulnerable. All stations lock target on the flagship, she commanded. Begin the energy net sequence. An unseen shimmer flickered in the vacuum, an intricate lattice of charged particles forming a cage of invisible energy around the Imperator Rex. The flagship shuddered violently as the trap snapped shut. Inside, the Imperator Rex alarms blared in a chorus of desperation. The energy net disrupted power flow and disabled key weapon systems. Varnak's pride turned to fury as his ship's systems failed one by one. Cut the power to non-essential systems, he ordered, voice sharp but strained. We will break this trap. Engineers scrambled to reroute power, but the energy net's grip tightened. The massive warship, once invincible, was now a prisoner. Outside, Earth's stealth fighters darted like arrows through the void. Cloaked by advanced metamaterials, they struck the Imperator Rex with precision-guided missiles and laser pulses. Captain Amina Reyes piloted one such fighter. Target the shield generators, she ordered. We'll make their flagship bleed. Her fighter streaked through enemy fire, weaving between bursts of plasma and flak. A single well-placed missile hit the shield array, sending a cascade of sparks and system failures across the Imperator Rex's hull. Back on the flagship's bridge, Varnak's fury boiled over. Send boarding parties. We will take their defenses, from the inside. But his orders came too late. From the shadows of the lunar orbit, Earth's elite boarding team emerged. Clad in advanced exosuits and armed with cutting-edge plasma rifles, they struck swiftly. The corridors of the Imperator Rex turned into a battleground of brutal close-quarters combat. Echoes of gunfire and the hiss of energy blades filled the halls. Lieutenant Rena Vasquez led the Terran boarding party, her movements swift and deadly. Every corner she cleared brought them closer to the command center and to Lord Varnak himself. As the boarding fight raged, inside the flagship's bridge, chaos consumed the Arxani officers. Systems failed. Communications broke down, and Varnak's iron grip on command slipped. Taylor leaned close to Varnak, voice low but urgent. My lord, we cannot hold. The fleet is retreating. They have lost faith. Varnak's face darkened. No retreat. We fight to the last breath. But even his words lacked the force they once had. The Terran boarding party reached the command center just as Varnak attempted to initiate a self-destruct sequence. Not today, Rena whispered, disabling the controls with a swift sequence on her console. The Arxani warlord faced her then, eyes burning with rage and humiliation. You think this changes anything? He snarled. Your victory is temporary. The Imperium will return. Rena met his gaze without fear. Maybe, but not today, not here. Outside, with the flagship crippled and its commander captured, the Arxani fleet faltered. Captain Samir Patel monitored the retreat from the Artemis. The flagship is down. The enemy is pulling back. Lieutenant Chen's voice crackled over the comms. They're disorganized. This is our chance to strike decisively. Captain Reyes nodded grimly. Prepare the counteroffensive. The Imperium's pride has fallen. We will not give them time to recover. Back on Earth, the news of the Imperator Rex's capture ignited a wave of relief and hope. Governments declared this victory a turning point, a testament to humanity's resilience and unity. In a quiet room, Dr. Elena Kovac allowed herself a rare smile. We've shown them Earth is not a prize to be taken. We are a force to be reckoned with. Lord Varnak was led away in chains, his once proud armor tarnished by defeat. But even in defeat, his words echoed like a warning through the corridors. Of power. The Imperium would come back. Earth had won this battle. But the war for the solar system was far from over. Earth's victory over the Imperator Rex rippled across the solar system like a shockwave. igniting hope and determination in every corner of the Terran Defense Accord. Yet beneath the jubilation, commanders knew the war was far from over. The Arcsani Imperium was wounded but not broken. In the war room beneath New Geneva, a sprawling map of the solar system flickered with dozens of red and blue markers, enemy and Terran fleets, locked in a deadly chess game. General Marcus Duval stood at the center, flanked by his top officers including Captain Amina Reyes and Dr. Elena Kovac. "We have them on the back foot," Duval began, voice steady and commanding. "But their numbers still outmatch ours. They will regroup and come back with greater fury. We need to take the fight to them." Captain Reyes tapped her finger on a cluster of dots near Saturn's rings. "Their main fleet is attempting to establish a staging ground near the outer moons. If they consolidate, they could launch a devastating strike on Earth's defenses." Dr. Kovac nodded, eyes sharp. "Our stealth and cyber capabilities will be crucial. We can't afford a direct confrontation without crippling their command and control first." General Duval nodded. "Then the plan is clear. We strike first, strike hard, and deny them any foothold in the outer solar system." On the bridge of the Vanguard Sentinel, Captain Reyes prepared her crew for the coming offensive. The air buzzed with tension and resolve. "Everyone, listen up," she addressed. "The crew, we've proven we can stand up to the Imperium. Now it's time to take the fight to their doorstep. Stealth will be our ally, precision our weapon. Let's remind them why Earth is not theirs to conquer." Meanwhile, in the cold void near Saturn, Arcsani warships gathered in ominous formation, their black hulls glinting faintly in the distant sun. Admiral Talar, now acting fleet commander in Varnak's absence, paced his flagship's bridge. "Our flagship is lost," he told his officers. "But the Imperium endures. We will crush the Terrans and take this system." His voice was steel, but behind it lurked uncertainty. The Terrans had proven far more capable than expected. Earth's first move came with the subtlety of a whisper. Stealth cruisers like the Artemis slipped into enemy-held space, their cloaks rendering them invisible to all but the most advanced sensors. Inside, pilots and cyber warriors prepared for coordinated strikes on the Imperium's supply lines and communications hubs. Lieutenant Mei Chen led a cyber offensive from New Tokyo, directing waves of data assaults designed to fracture Arcsani networks. "We've isolated their primary comm relay near Titan," Mei reported, preparing for cyber swarm attack. As the cyber assault began, confusion erupted within the Arcsani fleet. Orders conflicted, fighter wings failed to deploy, and coordinated maneuvers dissolved into chaos. Taking advantage, Earth's stealth fighters launched surgical strikes on supply ships and weapon platforms nestled within Saturn's icy rings. Explosions flickered silently in the darkness, wreckage drifting into the void. Captain Samir Patel, aboard the Artemis, maneuvered expertly through asteroid clusters and ring debris. His voice was calm over comms. "Enemy reinforcements are converging, near Enceladus. We can't hold the perimeter alone." Captain Reyes responded immediately. "Hold your position. We're dispatching support squads. This is the line they won't cross." Back on Earth, political leaders convened an emergency session, balancing public reassurance with grim reality. The war was no longer just a battle for survival. It was a fight for humanity's future. President Isabel Grant addressed the world in a rare live broadcast. "Today we face an enemy that underestimated us, but humanity's spirit and innovation have turned the tide. Our defense forces are striking back, not just to protect our planet, but to secure our place among the stars." As Earth's counteroffensive gained momentum, the Imperium grew desperate. Admiral Talar ordered all available fighters to converge on the Terran stealth cruisers, hoping to annihilate the disruptive forces. The void between Saturn and Jupiter exploded into furious dogfights. Ships danced in deadly spirals of plasma and laser fire, each pilot testing the limits of skill and courage. Captain Reyes, piloting her fighter through the chaos, felt the familiar adrenaline surge. "We're holding formation," she reported. "Fighters engaging enemy wings. Support incoming." Lieutenant Vasquez, flying wingman, covered Reyes's flank, blasting an enemy fighter out of the void. Meanwhile, Earth's orbital defense grids prepared for the inevitable counterstrike. "Commander, Lianzhou oversaw the activation of railguns and missile platforms, ready to strike any Arcsani vessel daring to approach Earth or the Moon. "We cannot let them breach our inner defenses," she said grimly. "The solar counteroffensive must not falter." Amidst the turmoil, a quiet moment arrived. Captain Reyes caught her breath, eyes scanning the stars ahead. This was more than a battle for territory. It was a fight for survival, for hope, for everything Earth had ever been, and they would not yield. Titan's orange haze shimmered faintly against the black void, its dense atmosphere hiding secrets beneath swirling clouds. For centuries, the Moon had been a silent sentinel on the solar frontier, until now. The Arcsani had claimed Titan as a staging ground, fortifying its surface with sprawling installations and weapon platforms. To Earth's commanders, it was a dangerous stronghold, one that could give the Imperium a strategic advantage far beyond Saturn. General Marcus Duval stared at the holographic projection of Titan in the command room beneath New Geneva. "Cannot allow them to hold Titan," he said. "If they control this moon, they control the outer solar system." Dr. Elena Kovac nodded, fingers tracing the network of enemy fortifications. "Their communications hub and primary weapon arrays are vulnerable, but any direct assault will be costly." Captain Amina Reyes stood on the bridge of the Vanguard Sentinel, preparing her crew for the coming operation. "Silent approach," she ordered. "No signals, no chatter. We'll hit their systems with precision strikes and cyber attacks, crippling their defenses before the first shot is fired." Lieutenant Mei Chen, leading the cyber warfare team from New Tokyo, synchronized her operators with Reyes's squadron. "We're ready to breach their firewalls and sow chaos from within," Mei reported. The Terran fleet moved through the shadows, cloaked by advanced stealth technology that bent light and masked energy signatures. As the first wave of fighters slipped into Titan's orbit, Mei launched a relentless cyber assault on the Moon's defense networks. "Firewall breached," she announced, initiating system overrides. Across Titan's installations, alarms flickered and died. Communications blacked out. Weapon platforms locked in place, frozen by unseen hands. Inside the Moon's command center, Admiral Talar's officers scrambled to regain control. The sudden silence was deafening. "Report," Taylor demanded, voice tense. "Systems are compromised," a technician stammered. "Our defenses are offline, communications disrupted." Taylor's jaw clenched. "Activate. Manual overrides. Lock down the perimeter. Do not let them breach the surface." But the Terran forces were already on the move. From cloaked dropships, elite squads descended through Titan's thick atmosphere, landing silently near key facilities. Lieutenant Rena Vasquez led one such team, navigating labyrinthine corridors and automated defense systems with lethal efficiency. Her squad disabled power generators and sabotaged communications nodes, crippling the Arcsani's ability to coordinate. Meanwhile, Captain Reyes coordinated orbital strikes with pinpoint accuracy. "Target the weapon platforms that remain active," she instructed. "We need to neutralize their heavy artillery before reinforcements arrive." Orbital cannons fired in silent arcs, their destructive energy tearing through enemy emplacements hidden beneath Titan's orange clouds. Back on Earth, news of the siege was cautiously optimistic. President Isabel Grant addressed the public once again. "Our forces are executing a daring operation to reclaim Titan," she said. "This is a crucial step toward securing our solar system's future." But the Imperium was not idle. Arcsani reinforcements launched from the outer moons, racing toward Titan to break the siege. Admiral Talar ordered a counterattack, swift and brutal. In the void above Titan, fierce dogfights erupted. Stealth fighters and Arcsani interceptors danced in deadly spirals, plasma bolts carving arcs of fire through the void. Captain Samir Patel's Artemis weaved through enemy fire, coordinating with Captain Reyes's squadron. "We're holding the line," Samir radioed. "But more reinforcements are coming. We need to end this quickly." As the battle raged, Lieutenant Mei Chen's cyber team faced relentless counterattacks. Enemy AIs adapted rapidly, launching vicious digital countermeasures designed to isolate and destroy Earth's cyber warriors. Mei gritted her teeth. "They're trying to cut us off." We need to reinforce the firewall. Amid the chaos, a critical breakthrough came. Dr. Kovach's team discovered a vulnerability in Titan's power grid, a central node that, if destroyed, would plunge the entire moon into darkness. General Duval ordered an all-out assault. Prepare the strike teams, he commanded. This is our chance. Lieutenant Vasquez led the assault, racing through Titan's shadowed corridors toward the power core. They faced fierce resistance, Arxani soldiers and automated defenses alike. But the Terran squad fought with relentless determination. With a final charge, they breached the core chamber. Vasquez placed the charges, setting timers with steady hands. "Get clear," she shouted. Moments later, a thunderous explosion rocked Titan's surface. Power grids failed, plunging the moon into darkness. Defense systems died. In the ensuing blackout, Earth's forces seized the advantage. Orbital cannons struck with deadly precision, shattering remaining enemy strongholds. The siege was won. As Titan fell silent, Captain Reyes looked out at the fading, orange clouds. "This is only the beginning," she said quietly. "The Imperium will not surrender easily." But Earth's forces were ready, united, resilient, and determined to defend their home. Titan's fall marked a turning point in the war for the solar system, but the conflict was far from over. The Arxani Imperium, battered and humiliated, retreated to regroup, their strategy shifting from overwhelming conquest to desperate survival. In Audiobook, the deep command halls beneath New Geneva, General Marcus Duval studied the shifting war map. The red dots were fewer now, scattered across the outer planets, but the threat remained. "We've broken their grip on the outer moons," Duval stated, voice steady. "But the Imperium will strike back where we least expect." Captain Amina. Reyes leaned forward. "Our intel shows they're fortifying a position near Jupiter's moon, Callisto. They're desperate, but still dangerous." The Vanguard Sentinel glided through the blackness of space, its crew weary but resolute. Captain Reyes paced the bridge, eyes scanning the data streams flowing across the hollow display. "We've come this far, but I'm not underestimating them," she said. "We'll need precision and patience to break through their new defenses." Lieutenant Rena Vasquez nodded. "Their boarding forces are still a threat. We'll need tight security." In the shadow of Callisto, the Arxani constructed a labyrinthine fortress, an amalgamation of technology and raw power. Shield generators hummed with energy, while swarms of fighters patrolled the orbits. Admiral Talar, bruised but unbowed, oversaw the fortress's defenses. "This will be our last stand," he declared. "We will make them pay for every inch." But Earth's forces had learned their enemy well. Dr. Elena Kovach, from her cyber command station, directed a new wave of cyberswarm AIs. "We're deploying Phoenix's successor," she announced. "A more adaptive, aggressive AI designed to disrupt their command network and communications." Lieutenant Mei Chen's fingers flew over her console. "We're already seeing results. Enemy fleets are confused, their coordination failing." The battle for Callisto began with a burst of digital warfare. Cyberswarms infiltrated Arxani networks, dismantling fire control systems and scrambling sensor arrays. The fortress's defenses flickered and weakened. Taking advantage, Earth stealth fighters launched rapid strikes on shield generators, crippling the fortress's protective barriers. Captain Samir Patel led the spearhead attack. "We hit fast, hit hard, then pull back," he radioed. "Keep them off balance." The dogfights above Callisto were fierce, a chaotic ballet of plasma bolts and evasive maneuvers. Below the fortress's surface, Lieutenant Vasquez led another boarding party through winding corridors, seeking to sabotage critical systems. The tunnels were dark and claustrophobic, filled with the echo of footsteps and distant alarms. Suddenly, a squad of Arxani troops emerged, blocking their path. A brutal firefight erupted. Vasquez's squad fought with grit and determination, their plasma rifles cutting through enemy ranks. Captain Reyes coordinated from orbit, watching the tactical displays. "Vasquez's team is pinned," she noted, "sending reinforcements." Moments later, additional boarding teams breached the fortress, turning the tide in the subterranean battle. Admiral Talar's voice crackled over enemy comms, filled with rage. "You will not take this fortress." But his orders were drowned out by the relentless advance of Earth's forces. In a critical moment, Dr. Kovach's cyber warriors detected an opening. "We've located their central command node," May reported. "If we take it offline, the fortress will fall." Captain Reyes authorized the final strike. Vasquez's team raced through the tunnels, dodging traps and enemy patrols. Reaching the command node, they set demolition charges and prepared to evacuate. An explosion rocked the fortress, severing its command network. Enemy defenses faltered, and Earth's orbital cannons pummeled the weakened structure. As the fortress crumbled, Admiral Taylor ordered a retreat. From the bridge of the Vanguard Sentinel, Captain Reyes watched the Imperium's forces withdraw. "This is the turning tide," she said softly. "We're pushing them back, step by step." Back on Earth, celebrations were tempered by the knowledge that the war continued. President Isabel Grant addressed the nation once more. "Today, we reclaim more than territory," she said. "We reclaim hope, resolve, and our future among the stars." Yet in the quiet of his cell aboard a Terran prison ship, Lord Varnak brooded. The Imperium had lost ground, but he still believed in its cause. The war was not over. It was only beginning. The solar system was quieter now. The fierce battles that had scorched moons and shattered fleets had faded into a tense, uneasy peace. Earth's forces held the outer planets, and the Arcsani Imperium had been pushed back, disorganized, fractured, and retreating into the darkness beyond the Kuiper Belt. But peace, like the fragile ring of dust around Saturn, was delicate and easily shattered. In the high-security chamber aboard the Terran prison ship Aegis, Lord Varnak sat chained to a reinforced chair, his once regal armor dulled and scarred, his eyes burned with an unyielding fire. A visitor entered. General Marcus Duval. "Lord Varnak," Duval said evenly, "the war is over. Your Imperium has been broken." Varnak's lips curled in a bitter smile. "Broken? Perhaps. But never. Defeated. You have won battles, General, but the war is a different matter." Duval shook his head. "Your ambitions have cost countless lives. There is no place for the Imperium here." Varnak's voice lowered, filled with menace. "You misunderstand. The Imperium is not a fleet or a fortress, it is an idea, and ideas endure." Far below Earth's atmosphere in the rebuilt Lunar Command Center, Commander Lian Zhao monitored solar flares rippling across the sun's surface. Outside, the moon's defenses had been reinforced, ready for the next threat. Her gaze was steady. "Earth is stronger than ever. We've learned from this war we will never be caught off guard again." On board the Vanguard Sentinel, Captain Amina Reyes stood before her crew, the weight of command settling on her shoulders. "We have fought, we have lost, and we have won," she said. "But our true victory is in what comes next. We defend, not just Earth, but the future of humanity, our legacy among the stars." Her words sparked a quiet determination in her crew, who had seen the horrors of war and the resilience of humanity. In the vast reaches beyond Neptune, hidden from all eyes, the remnants of the Arcsani fleet gathered. Admiral Talar, bruised but unbroken, addressed his officers. "The Imperium survives. Our wounds are deep, but our spirit is deeper. We will rebuild in the shadows, strike where they least expect it." His voice echoed with fierce resolve. Back on Earth, Dr. Elena Kovach gazed at a star-filled sky, her thoughts drifting beyond the war. Technology, science, unity. These are our true weapons, she mused. The Imperium challenged us, but we have shown the galaxy what humanity can achieve. Across cities and settlements on Earth, humanity celebrated cautiously. Monuments rose to honor the defenders of the solar system, but the memory of the cost lingered. Children learned of the war in schools, stories of bravery and sacrifice becoming part of their heritage. Yet beneath the surface of this fragile peace, whispers stirred. New factions emerged, voices both hopeful and dangerous. Some called for rebuilding and exploration, others spoke of vengeance and power. The future was uncertain. In a quiet laboratory, Captain Reyes received a coded message. Unknown origin, her comm officer reported. The message was brief, a warning and a promise. This is not the end. Watch the stars. Captain Reyes folded the message, a thoughtful smile crossing her face. Then we keep watching, she said, because Earth's story isn't finished. It's only just beginning. The legacy of Earth was not written in battles alone, but in the courage to stand firm when the universe seemed vast and merciless. From the ashes of war rose a new dawn, one forged by unity, sacrifice, and the indomitable spirit of humanity. The solar system was their home, and they would protect it, at all costs, the end.